have a friend who loves tapping shoulders. Like, are you okay? Don't worry, you'll be fine.
And if you're operating at a higher standard, you attract people to yourself.
Are they actually there for business contacts and networking and how to help each other, or are they just there for jollies?
Social media often gives you just one side of the story and not a full picture.
Yes.
But sometimes I do this. I don't know where I got that from, but I just do this.
MannersUnfiltered. Still wild. This is MannersUnfiltered. Learn about style. MannersUnfiltered. Where you can learn all about the
go-to podcast for anyone looking to sharpen their professional edge here in the UAE. I'm your host, Orchids Roy, and
Hi Orchids, I'm Emma Brain, and today we're decoding the do's and don'ts of business etiquette across the UAE. So let's dive into this, and of course we've got our beautiful guest, the Lady Maiwa.
Lady Maiwa,
who's
thank
joined
you.
us today.
Yes.
Thank you for having
Stunning
me,
as
ladies.
always. Thank you so much for coming in. But to start us off, Orchids, why is there an understanding business etiquette particularly crucial in the UAE? Why is it important?
Yes. So, as you can tell, UAE is such a cosmopolitan country. Particularly here in Dubai, there's more than 150 nationalities living here. So, the professional landscape is very diverse. So, etiquette is not just about making a good first impression. It's also about being respectful, not just to your work colleagues, to anyone that you are dealing business with. And so I've mentioned being respectful and to be considerate to everyone. Again, everyone has their own culture of how they do business. So again, that's one thing that you have to be considerate of as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Maya, well, obviously you're an entrepreneur, you're a presenter, you deal with lots of different people every single day. How do you find the different cultural aspects coming into the business world in the UAE? Because we're such a different melting pot, and sometimes it's difficult to navigate how different people do things depending where they come from.
I totally agree. Being in Dubai, for some people, it's like walking on eggshells, but I don't think it should be that. Ultimately, even though we've got over 150 nationalities living here, doing business here, I think there's a global language of etiquette. There's just a global approach to doing business, regardless of where you come from. And I think those are the little spices, I'd like to say, that you bring from where you come from. But there's just a global language with being professional, being courteous, being respectful. There's a global way to do that. I think when you're here, you're forced to learn it, even if you don't know it.
Yeah. And so, is there anything you've come across that's particularly stood out on that front?
So I wouldn't. Funny story, right? And a personal story, but perhaps not the best example. But I'll also just bring in the cultural diversity and being, what's the word? You've got to accommodate people and understand where they come from. And Emma, you might remember this because we worked together someplace, right? I was pregnant at the time, like that heavy eventually. Where I come from in Nigeria, typically we don't touch pregnant women's tummies. Okay. Typically. Yeah. And you don't do, what sex is the baby?
Yes.
You don't really do that. Amongst friends maybe, but generally it's like, we know not to ask, except you're told. But here I was, the only pregnant person in the room, and then everybody goes, "Oh, baby, when are you having the baby? What sex is the baby?" Now, I could have said, "You don't do that," because that's what I know from where I'm coming from. But I understood that, listen, they're not coming from where I'm coming from. They probably are very open and very okay with it, maybe in their own culture. And then you also have to understand that it's all love, right? Yeah. So I didn't even correct it. I was okay with it. I think I even shared the sex of the baby. Yeah, I'm having a boy. Yeah, I'm going to have this baby XYZ time. You want to rub? Go ahead. Have a fun day. Rub. And that's because I know they don't mean me any harm. Yeah. Even though perhaps in Nigeria, I may have looked at someone and been like, you know not to do that, right? Maybe, depending on the person. But so there's on the one side, a global language, a global way to do things. on the other side is also tolerance, which I think is one big topic here. To tolerate people, to understand, to be able to understand what filter they're using.
Yeah.
And I think that brings harmony, because one thing you cannot avoid is friction.
Yeah.
We can't live 100% together and not have moments of friction. But how do we manage them?
Yeah. And I think that's particularly difficult in the workplace as well.
Yes. So I think in big organizations where I was a part of, because we're so big, especially for customer-facing staff, you need to have some sort of a standard.
Yeah.
Because, again, on a personal level, yes, you can tolerate, you can be, more welcoming.
More accommodating.
But once you're in a professional setting, how you handle customers back home can be different here as well. And given the diverse customers that you'll be facing on a daily basis, again, I think in a corporate world, you need to have some sort of a standard to make it more applicable for everybody that you deal with.
Absolutely.
So,
And that can make or break business.
Yeah.
true.
Because, so let's flip it. In that office, I was a part of the team, right?
Yeah.
Imagine I am a customer who's walked in to do business, and then you
Yes.
excuse you. So this can make or break business, and I think more than anything, that's what people should understand. It can make or break a person's career, because if you make a wrong move,
Yeah.
the companies are happy, the client is pissed off, you're going to be the sacrificial lamb.
Yeah.
And they'll have to say, well, we're sorry, but you've got to go
Yeah.
because... Or it could be business. You get one bad review that blows up. How do you
Yeah.
begin to fix that?
Yeah.
So I totally agree that there should be a standard.
Yeah.
And that standard starts from respecting people's space,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Don't get
Space.
all touchy
Yeah.
Yes.
if there's no cue or invitation.
Yes.
Verbal, and this can be tricky, non-verbal invitation.
Yes.
So I'm a hugger. I like connection. But I'm not just going to see you and they, oh, God, come here. No.
Yes.
I've got to read the body language. I've got to understand the context of the setting. And I'll easily do that with a female. I'm not going to see a male I've just met for the first time. It's a handshake.
Yeah.
Yes. Like
With you.
earlier, I extended my hand because I'm
And I'm like,
mindful.
come in. Because now we already shared a
hugger.
laugh or two
Yes.
before we started recording.
Yes.
I really looked at you. And I'm like, oh, yeah, come, you come
Come
here.
on, give me a hug.
But wait, aside, it'll probably be
Yeah.
good to meet. And then maybe the next time,
Yes.
if we've formed a relationship, there's a connection, then it could easily be a hug. Because
Yeah.
for some people as well, I mean, I do events, I MC, and there's sometimes you've taken many hands, and then you got to the third or fourth male hand, and it's like,
Yeah.
what do you do
Yeah.
in that situation? I just understand that culturally, this particular person is not okay with shaking hands.
Yeah.
And I don't take any offense. I was in a meeting, and then a lady who saw that happen said, oh, she would have maybe taken offense. I'm like, there's no need to take offense. You just respect
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
that person and you keep it moving.
And it's like I was doing work a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, I'm really, I'm not a handshaker. I don't like it, mostly because I'm a bit of a germaphobe, and like I said before, I
mentioned-
can't stand the limp, wet handshake.
Yes.
It just makes no. I can't. I don't like handshakes. So I'm like, I'll go for a fist bump or something instead. You know, but read
Yeah.
the room. If someone is obviously a little bit uncomfortable with physical contact, then don't. Just read the room.
I have a friend who loves tapping shoulders. Like, are you okay? Don't worry, you'll be fine. And then he told me one time that because he works with a lot of Emirati women, and sometimes because it became a habit.
Yes.
Like, is everything okay? And then
No,
later
no.
that he realized, like I shouldn't be doing
No.
that. But because it's too late. But he was aware, but. Because it became a habit. So that's why it's like, I really need to, control my hand
Put
because
it in check.
yes.
And with the handshakes, I was hoping I wouldn't have to say this. When you shake hands, especially with males, okay, no offense meant, sometimes in my head, especially if I've got to eat later, you see a snack, you're at an event, and you
yes.
I'm like, I shook someone's hand. I don't know where that hand has been.
Yes.
So maybe put in the...
Thankfully,
Hand
now there's a lot of
sanitizer.
hand
Go
sanitizer
wash
everywhere. Yeah.
Because you can speak for yourself, your sanitary, routine and all, but you really
You
don't know
can't
about
speak
it.
for other people.
So what do you do?
Yeah, that's another reason.
And
Like
you
I said, I'm a
can't
bit
fist
of a
bump everyone
germaphobe.
now, can you?
I'm just like, I'm really sorry. I'm not a handshaker. I just, it's fine. It's one of those
The
things.
good thing here is that, not a lot of culture are into shaking hands, right? So in
Yeah.
a lot of part of Asia, we bow or, yes.
But sometimes I do
we bow.
this.
Yeah.
I just,
Yes.
I don't know where I
Exactly.
got that from, but I just do this.
Yeah, for sure you got it from somewhere.
Or maybe from a
but-
movie.
Yeah. So again, you reciprocate the other person.
Yeah.
So don't expect that everyone do handshake on the first meeting. Yeah.
When it comes to business meetings, this
Yeah.
drives me crazy. Timekeeping and punctuality. Lots of people not so good at that here. I mean, Maya, you were talking about, respect. To me, if people don't respect time, they don't have discipline, they don't respect themselves, they don't respect the people they're coming to see. It's, when I used to be head of various places that I was doing, I'd organize meetings, and these people would rock up 20, 30 minutes late, and I'd go, well, I'm sorry, but our meeting was 30 minutes ago, now I'm busy, so you'll have to reschedule. And I do it deliberately because some people just need to be taught a lesson that time is valuable, time is money in many industries, and you cannot waste time.
Absolutely. Yes.
I went to a business meeting. So this company agency reached out to me on Instagram. Hi, what they were proposing sounded interesting. I said, okay, let's have a Zoom meeting because I'm now super pro an initial virtual meet. Waste less of my time, less risk, because what if I take a taxi, get my face done, do all that, get to your office, and it's a bloody waste of time.
Yeah.
Let's have a virtual meet. Then we sort of feel each other out. I understand where you're coming from. And then the next can be an actual physical meeting. But they insisted and said, we've got to do a presentation. We can only do this, in person. You've got to come to our office. Okay, I'll come to your office. And then I got there. Turns out they had reached out to tens of other people the same way and had just given blank, sort of like a blank invitation. So I got to the office, walked in. Are you here for so-and-so? Yes, please have a seat. And that was it. No one else beyond the receptionist spoke to me. No one else approached me to say, hi, we've been expecting you.
Yes.
Nothing else. I sat there for like 5-10 minutes. Guess what? I took my bag and I walked out without having to tell anyone
Yeah.
anything because I value my time.
Yeah.
Yes.
I respect myself. I know what I'm worth. And if you don't respect me, I know to respect myself and walk out. So the moment I walked out, I just about to get to the elevator, someone ran after me and said, oh, so sorry, XYZ. He was sitting there the whole time. He was part of the team. I don't know, maybe he was having a break. I don't know. But he saw me,
Yeah.
but didn't approach me until I walked out.
You walked
Yeah.
out. Yes.
Then I walked back in, and then he said, "Well, so sorry." Then he, attended to me, and eventually, I was already pissed off. I already felt, listen, I don't want to do business with you. If this is how you do business, and that
Yeah.
was the end
Yeah.
of that. Did I lose? Maybe it'd have been great
maybe.
business.
Yeah.
Did they lose?
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
You definitely. So it's so important. And it's, as an organization, they didn't know that they lost business with me. But that guy probably doesn't even recollect that I met someone. I don't know who she is. I don't know if she would have brought great business. But then again, the organization lost. And if I were to call out their name someplace, that's already a bad impression made with someone else.
Yeah, of course.
Ultimately affects the bottom line of the company. So beyond individuals having that consciousness, and it takes personal discipline. At the end of the day, it boils down to personal discipline to say, I have to do better.
Yeah.
But as organizations, as companies, we also have to facilitate trainings
Yes.
because it's the little things. It's tiny little things.
Basic.
The
Yes.
CEO is not going to be there all the time.
Yeah.
The CEO is not going to be there all the time. Like top executives who typically have training in all of these things won't be there all the time. So you've got to make sure that training trickles down to the cleaner, even to
Absolutely.
the
Yeah,
receptionist.
100%.
Yes. But then again, a lot of organizations think that, conducting training is just an expense. They didn't know the value of it. It's actually an investment in the long term.
Absolutely.
100. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
And this is what a lot of organizations don't understand. If you have a company culture of not doing things properly, and as you said, Maiwa, it's everyone within the organization. You're only as strong as your weakest link. If people are not doing things properly and in a good way, and there's no company culture of understanding one another, how to deal with clients, how to do with forward-facing people. It's a disaster from top to bottom. It really is, and the people at the top are not always right either. They like to
Yes.
think they are,
Yeah.
but they're not always right in the way that they do things.
Have you noticed how companies typically, when they're expecting a VIP, then everybody is like, "Ooh, someone's coming."
Yeah.
Get everything set. Everyone's just in their best behavior. But that's not the way to go. Every client should be respected. Every client is an
Should be
important,
VIP. Yeah.
Should be VIP. That's
Everyone.
except your business is not here to stay and you don't want it to last and you're not trying to build a legacy, so to speak. Every client is important. Every client should be respected, because a client that brings you $500 today could bring you $5 million tomorrow.
Yeah.
100%.
Very
yes.
possible. But if you lose them at this level, you're never going to get there. You're never going to last long. And so if there's any company out there, if you notice in your company that you have special treatment for special people, which is not bad, right? If the Crown Prince was coming here, I think it would be a bit different, right?
Yeah,
It would be a bit
of
different.
course.
But there should be that standard. Again, standard approach, standard procedure for how to handle people, how to treat people, and respect time.
Since we're still in the conversation about business etiquette, let's talk about networking. As you have observed, the traffic is getting bad. There's a lot of people from different parts of the world who are moving now in the UAE, particularly in Dubai, to do business.
Yeah.
So how can one network in a multicultural environment? Have you guys attended any networking recently? And you go in there are more than 10 nationalities in that room. So how can one expect someone who's new in Dubai coming here and wants to set up her own business or just to network, meet like-minded people?
I think that you have to be mindful of and check out and do your research on the networking events you're going to go to. I've been to a couple, and some of them are free, some of them charge, and others charge quite a lot. And when I get approached for these things, I go, who is going? Seriously, is it actually worth my time? Are these going to be people that will help me in the long run, or is it just people going just to make friends, basically? Are they actually there for business contacts and networking and how to help each other, or are they just there for jollies? I've found a lot of these networking events are actually pretty much a waste of time, to be honest.
Well, Emma, you would say that because listen, you've put in the work and you've gotten to a position. So it's interesting because I did a video on this on my Instagram a while ago talking about networking, and I was sharing a story of how when I just moved to Dubai, I would practically want to be in any room that seemed decent. And why was that? I was new. I didn't know anybody.
Yeah.
There was no one to say, if I had met Emma at the time, I would just say, Emma, can I tag along and be a plus one? But you're new in town, you really don't have as many choices, especially if you don't already have a network. If you have just moved to town, you already have a bunch of friends or a bunch of business contacts, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
But if you're starting from the very bottom, from scratch, you can't be too picky, in my
Yes.
opinion. You can't be too picky because you don't know who's going to be in the room. Like there's a popular saying that I have, well, popular with me because I said it. If you don't go for the event, go for the people.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the event,
Yeah. But that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. I need to know who's going to be there. Because what you need to know, are these people in your industry? Are they different industries? Are these low-level people? Are they CEOs? Are they the entrepreneurs? Who are they? You need to, it's pointless going if it's just a bunch of
Just
randoms
everybody.
that are not going to help you. They need to be, I mean, look, I always think that, and I know this comes a lot in podcasts and other people, you always need to be networking with people above you. Because you're never going to learn from people that are the same level or below you. You've always got to be aiming higher.
Surround yourself.
Those are the people you need to get in contact with.
I agree. I've never thought about it that way, even though I think I do it in practice, right? If I'm going someplace, number one, to get me out of my house if it's late.
Yeah.
Good luck. To get me to put makeup on, get dressed. I better be getting paid, or it's going to be worth my time.
Yeah.
So first hurdle. And then if I do that, then I think I've told myself, okay, this is worth it. Let's go. You're likely to meet the people that you're looking for, people you want to have on as clients, or people that need your service, or just be in that room. Sometimes I go to some meetings, not because I'm trying to get anything, but just because let's just be in the room.
Yes.
You never can tell. You could learn something. You could maybe just to know more people, expand your network, not necessarily because I want to get a client tonight or I need a contract with this person. So, but I think that if you're very new, you really don't have any place to start, I think any decent event,
you have to show up.
Regardless,
You have to show up.
because
Yes.
then you start to know people, even if it's
Absolutely.
loneliness is a thing for some people.
Yeah.
Well, I did experience that a bit, even though I was sharing this before we started recording. I'd moved in, my husband was here, new city, new wife, newly married. Then I was pregnant. Oh my God. And I didn't have friends. Well, except my husband's friends. But you get what I mean. They're not my, hey babe, what are you doing? I wasn't at that level yet. I experienced that loneliness and we're living in this area that was just at the time I thought dead, because you'd look out, you wouldn't see a fly, nothing moving. It's like, where are you guys? Some drama happening in the street or so. So yes, it can be bloody to be in that space, but I'd say if you're just beginning, you don't really have much of a choice. Attend any decent event, just even if it's just to make friends.
You know what's great nowadays, because there's a lot of networking groups that are available out there, even Facebook groups. When I arrived here, there's none of those. Maybe there was one,
How many
but
years ago was this?
Well, I arrived in 2007, and I think I don't even have a Facebook yet at that time. I think I opened Facebook when I moved here to Dubai, because we have a different one back home that we use. So yeah, I can relate to what you've said. We're so comfortable back home, and then when you come here, you have to start all over again, make friendship, and it's quite a big adjustment. But now I think for anyone who wants to move here to Dubai, they're so lucky, fortunate that you have all
It's
these
very
groups,
open already.
resources that you can go and join and meet people.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And we're part of the same journalists.
Yeah, we're in
UAE
the journos groups.
Do you still visit on Facebook? I don't go there as much.
I go on Facebook occasionally. I get notifications. Normally, it's just people ranting in my community groups, to be fair. But again, Facebook's actually quite good for business networking with groups
absolutely.
like that. And there's always jobs or guys, can you help? I need advice on this, this kind of stuff. So they can be useful. And I think social media and the digital platforms are very useful for making business contacts. Particularly LinkedIn is fantastic. Myra, I know you're very active on Instagram.
I live there.
And like I say, it's so important to have a good social media presence, but you have to be very careful when it comes to your business etiquette.
True.
Because people will look at your social media, and all employers do now. All employers look at people's social media handles.
Absolutely. Yes.
see
Instagram
what they
immediately,
start
and
for
LinkedIn.
doing.
Normally, I go straight to LinkedIn and check, what is she
What's
doing?
happening there?
Yes. Yeah.
They
yeah.
even check Google reviews now. I heard of a lady who lost her job because all her Google reviews were negative.
Wow.
She had nothing good to
Wow.
say about any of the businesses that she reviewed. And it's like, why should we hire you if you have never given a good review ever?
Yes.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's deep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow.
Now,
That's it.
all my reviews are mostly good, so.
I
know that's a good thing.
You're safe. You're safe.
Never looked. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know. It's something I just never looked at it.
Yeah, because it gives a great insight into who you are.
Yeah.
And I, for one, as much as I live on Instagram, I'm very careful what I share. I'm very careful what I talk about, because my views today might actually not be my views tomorrow.
Yes.
And you know what they say about the internet, never
It
forget.
stays forever.
Yes.
So I'm very careful when there's a sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Very careful what I'm talking about, what I share, because first you want to get the full context.
Yeah.
Social media often gives you just one side of the story and not a full picture. And then you've gone on made a whole live on half truth or one perspective that is not the full picture.
Yeah.
And this might come back and just
And it's a good point, and it's you have to be careful as well if you're representing an organization or a company.
Yeah.
There was one guy who I can't remember what the conversation was. It was years ago, but he took it upon himself to attack me on social media, and I obviously clicked on his profile, and then I wrote, do you think your organization would be really happy if I sent them screenshots of your behavior right now? Because he worked for a very high profile company.
Wow.
And I said, I don't think they'd be happy. I said, you've got an open profile. I can see what your position is, who you work for, the company address. It's got all your company details there. How would they like it if they knew one of their employees was behaving this way? You have to be really careful.
Absolutely. So a lot of companies nowadays, they actually check your social media before hiring you. So we've spoken about this during our episode on social media to, create a positive portfolio for yourself. Because, if you start already building a positive image about yourself, it might help you in the future of landing that dream job, for example. So, again, you have to be mindful because companies now do check not just your LinkedIn, but your Instagram. And you've said earlier, they're forever. Once you upload it, the internet remembers.
and another thing, even beyond like career people, it's also business.
Yeah.
We talked about networking up. So do you know that the people you want to network with are also going to check you out?
Yeah, of
And it's
course.
like,
absolutely.
are
Yes.
you really the kind of person that I want to surround myself with? So you've got to, I feel like as a rule of thumb, you've got to already position yourself mentally and even with your social where you want to be. Because if you meet a COO, a CEO, and you want to do business with them, perhaps you're just a general manager and now you want to level up to that kind of person. When they check you out, what will they find?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you speaking their language? Are they able to say, I know that person, and can they call you and say, be my +1 for an event? So you also have to make sure that how you speak, how you dress, who you're associated with, my goodness, be careful who you take a picture with.
Yeah. Yes.
Be
Particularly
very
now.
careful who you take a picture with. I tell people, I say, there's some people I will never take a picture with. And if that picture ever gets taken by any means, you're not going to find it on my page.
Yeah.
There was a picture of myself, and this is not even association-wise. Like, this was just a picture, church page, and because I sing in church. And my mouth was funny. I had to reach out and say, could you please remove that picture? Because it's already online. I don't want someone to find it one day and then my mouth is looking funny. And I guess because I have a news background, I'm always thinking in the headlines. I'm thinking, what if a story comes about me one day and this is a picture used? Am I going to like it?
Yeah.
No. So please take down the picture. But people have to be very careful who they're seen with, who they take a photograph with, because by association, people say, oh, if this person is like this, then you've got to be like birds of the same feather.
Yeah.
So be very careful what you're posting online. Another interesting one is I was talking to a lady. Now she's a top shot in Abu Dhabi. She helps the government to bring like celebrities and all that. And we were talking, and she said, "You only have black people on your page." That was new. She said, "You live in the UAE. It's got 200 nationalities. You want to operate at a certain
Show
level.
diversity.
You've
Yes.
got to show that you have people outside of your community."
Yeah.
And that was like, I've never heard that one before. So see what she's seen.
Yes.
I'm just there thinking, oh, I'm a lovely black girl, doing the community thing. And she's also black. She's also like Nigerian heritage as
Yeah.
well. But if you see her page, then you see the difference. And I'm like, interesting. Is she saying don't represent your community?
No.
Is she saying be non-African?
No.
Of course not. She says,
She's
let everything about you show what you're about. And I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, she's basically promoting inclusivity
Yeah.
for you to embrace other
So
cultures.
now when I want to
That's a
post the
good one.
pictures, like, listen,
Yes.
I'm going to put Emma's picture.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put Orchid as the next one. If you're African, sorry, you're on the third slide.
You're not my
Just
priority.
kidding. No, I'm just kidding. But you get what I mean. It's
Yes,
now
yes,
be
yeah,
deliberate,
no.
be intentional in showing what you're about.
But
Yeah.
it's really interesting you say that, because it's obviously, depending where you come from, you naturally hang out with
Your kind, yeah.
Yes.
people that you grew up with, you hang out with. But she's right. We currently live in such a multicultural, diverse place, and I'm sure all of us have got friends from multiple nationalities or whatever.
Absolutely.
And you should just show that sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean,
Since we're on this topic, let's talk about that. So, in a
on.
work environment where you'll have, I think, minimum 10 nationalities in that office, have you had any challenges or issues that you face being in a multicultural setup? Or you find it actually more,
I think it's better when
positive?
Yeah, I mean, so I've only worked in an office setting in Dubai just one time, and it was like a freelance gig with Emma. So I mean, then I was a pregnant lady, so I think I had a good experience. They gave me food. I was really a happy pregnant woman, yeah. But it was a good experience. I was only in there for maybe 3 hours a day, so I don't think I had enough time to rub anyone the wrong way or for anyone to rub me the wrong way. But generally in doing business, I think that one thing people have got to take note of is communication.
yeah.
So English is like big language here for communicating, aside Arabic, which I don't know how to speak. But you find that not everyone can speak English the same way.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you've got to be, again, accommodating of how other people speak. Because and I hate it when I have to say, can you say that again? Can you say that again? Even though I actually cannot hear what you're saying, I've also got to be accommodating and not make people feel less than
Yes.
because they don't speak English a certain
Absolutely.
way.
Yes.
So that's one big thing I'd like to point out, because I've seen a few people take a jab at others because of how they speak.
And that's meaning you have to understand when you're communicating, not face to face, on the phone or digitally, things get misconstrued
Absolutely.
if the language,
Absolutely.
first language, is different to your own. So you just have to be a bit mindful of that. And it's, how, particularly when people write on emails, they can be very abrupt and forthright and to the point. And it's like, that's when miscommunications happen. If it's a complicated subject, I'd always rather sit down and speak to someone face to face, just to make sure nothing is miscommunicated and the points are actually then put down, because written text can be very, very misconstrued
Absolutely.
a lot of the time.
Talking about communication, what I really appreciate after living here for 16 years now, is that you learned, mannerism, the accents, and the way they communicate. At first, I was struggling in some culture where they come across very abrupt and very direct to the point. In our culture, we don't do that. But now I actually appreciate, why don't
get
you
to
just
the
be
point.
there? Yeah, and no filter or whatever. I appreciate that. There's a lot of things that I learned from other culture, which, well, again, I'm happy that I get to experience that, because back home I will only be working with one,
Exactly.
nationality. But here, I was given an opportunity to deal with other, different culture, and I love that. I love that. And when you go and travel somewhere else, and you get to talk to people, like, oh
Yeah.
yes, I used to work with someone from, let's say, for example, Brazilian, and then you give them some sort of their own mannerism, their accent, and they appreciate that because
True.
you know something about them.
And it helps you form a bond as well.
Yes, form
But-
a bond, absolutely. So let's talk about email.
So there's an email situation that I think would be a great example. I was organizing an event, right? It's called Road to Success Seminar. And then I had one of my team members reach out to a certain speaker who was supposed to speak at the event.
Yeah.
And they had, they already established contact, everything was good. And then a few days to the event, there was an email exchange. The next thing I hear is the speaker is dropping off. It's like, he's not speaking anymore and X, Y, Z. I'm like, what is going on? And then I, spoke to my team member, let's do it this way. Let's say this, let's say that. Eventually, when I went back to the email exchange, as much as yes, not our fault that the speaker wanted to drop off, I think just miscommunication, or maybe, I don't know. Point is, I think that with emails, it can be so easy to miscommunicate with email. It can be so easy to lose connection. I think that's even what I want to say. It can be so easy to lose connection with emails. So with emails, I would suggest that we're more expressive rather than be so abrupt.
Okay.
With emails, I mean, get to the point. Don't beat about the bush.
Yeah.
But it's so. I feel like in what I've seen, it's good to be a bit more expressive, explain things, give like the breakdown, and sort of lead them into the point rather than just say, "That's it."
So, yeah.
Because I think that maybe with the email exchange, it was a bit abrupt, and because now there's no communication verbally. We're not looking eye to eye. We're not able to say, oh, that's not what I mean. Or can you share your... It's just, he's over there with the phone. We're over here with maybe the laptop and just text going across. So in my experience, I think with emails, we've got to be extra careful, especially when it's a tricky situation. Be more expressive. And as Emma said, just request for a face-to-face. It's always better.
Yes. And I want to add on to that because, again, in a multicultural setup here in the UAE, it's still very important to be formal when it comes to your email.
Sure.
And formal doesn't mean that, you have to use those really difficult words just to show that you're smart. Again, you have to, use easy to understand English.
Yeah.
Because, again, not everyone speaks English as their first language. That would be my rule of thumb, to make your email easy to understand and avoid like jargons. I think a lot of people already know. And lastly, the emojis. I think in a professional setting, as much as I think we got used to Instagram and WhatsApp, where every sentence we put emojis. But I think,
Rocket.
yeah.
High five.
So I think, in a professional email, try to avoid that. And my favorite part actually when I'm sending emails is to add color to my email, which means that I put some words from back home. So let's say, for example, towards the end of my email, I say, maraming salamat, open, close, thank you very much. Just to add on.
some
or
personality.
And maybe during Eid, you can say something at the beginning, Eid Mubarak.
True.
Yes, if you're emailing someone who celebrates Eid. Yeah.
I totally agree. And with the color, all my emails come out in blue text, so I don't know if that's a good thing.
So, Lady May, where can our listeners find you? Can you please share with us?
Thank you very much. You can find me on Instagram, across socials, TikTok, not so much, but it's at the Lady Mayawa on any platform. So find me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn as well. On LinkedIn, I think you'll find me as Mayawa Adegoke, which is like my government name, as we say back home. But yes, I'm very active on most of the socials, especially Instagram and LinkedIn. So feel free to reach out to me.
Yes.
And I think that
I'm
this
adding
was
you now. Live.
Thank you. And I think this was really, really just a fun chat with you ladies, speaking about business etiquette and what people can learn. more than anything, people need to keep learning. Your company can or may not sponsor your training. Your company may set a standard or not. However, you must understand that you are your representative first, more than anyone else. Before you represent the company, before you represent your nation, before you represent your faith, you represent yourself. And so you should be more concerned about holding yourself to a higher standard than you're already operating at. So please, if you're listening, if you're watching, learn. Learn how to interact with people. It's connected to your livelihood because you need someone for a better business, for a better job, for relationships, to stay in the relationship. You need people. You need to understand how to work with people, how to respect people. And if you're operating at a higher standard, you attract people to yourself. People are like, oh, I like that person.
Yes.
I like that she sticks to time. I like that she's very respectful. I like that she knows how to communicate with people of multiple culture. And I think it's a thing now.
Yeah.
It helps you get jobs. It's a big consideration when you want to be given a global position.
True.
It's how can this person relate with other people from other nationalities, other faith, other culture. So it's to your personal advantage when you learn everything about business etiquette. And how can you do that? You know, you listen to a podcast like this.
Yes.
You reach out to Orchids or to Emma or to myself to say, you know what?
Thank you.
I like that. Can I learn more? ChatGPT is there.
Yeah.
YouTube is there. Google is there.
A lot of tools for you,
You
for
know,
them for
Coursera,
to use
like
resources.
1,001 platforms. So you actually don't have an excuse. No one has any excuse. So learn because it will help you. And all the best.
Yes. Invest in yourself, people.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Manners Unfiltered with Orchids Roy and myself, Emma, and our wonderful guest, the Lady Maya.
Maya.
Don't forget you can reach out to us on email, mannersunfiltered@gmail.com. Comment on our socials, give us a follow, a share, and a like. We'd appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Unfiltered, where you can learn all about the world of etiquette and manners. Manners Unfiltered. This is Manners Unfiltered. Learn about style. Manners Unfiltered. The UAE culture is all that matters.